A warm welcome on behalf of CCA. This conversation is going to be very special because this conversation is going to have a lot of global coaches speaking about experiences that were personal and what they used in their professional space as well. But before we go to this interesting conversation, what I'd like to tell you is about CCA. And before we get there, a little bit of presencing, a quick presencing, depending on which part of the day you're in. All you need to do is be unmindful of the noises that you're going to hear around you and through my unmuted mic, but then focus more inwards because that's where this session's going to take you inwards to understand how to connect with the true self within. So I request you to switch off your videos if you're not comfortable, keep it on if you are, but close your eyes for sure. Make sure you're sitting absolutely comfortably and soak in Mother Earth on which you've placed your feet. Sitting or standing, thank her for being kind with you. And remember to be grateful for her blessing. You can wriggle your toes slightly to feel the movement and start shifting your focus upwards towards your knees, further up to your hips, to your back, shoulders, and feel the energy on your upper arms moving again to your fingers and fingertips. Grateful and thankful for the energy that you now have. Feel that power within you, which is helping you sustain all the multiple thoughts that are coming into your mind. Allow them to flow. And once you are in that space of flow, smile to yourself as you can understand how very important is this connection within. As you feel that light from within you go out and somewhere connect to the universe, you can hold that space for a few seconds. Enjoying it, letting it go, and understanding the calm space you're operating from now. You can wriggle your fingers and your toes and completely be aware of the space you're in now. And open your eyes when
Wait,
you're
wait, wait,
ready.
wait. Goodbye. Before I.
Thank you very much for taking us to that wonderful place, Rashmi. It felt so good, like being with my own skin.
That's exactly what you're going to make us feel now. All you coaches out there, super excited. And on behalf of CCA, a warm welcome to every one of you who's come in today and chose to be here. CCA started off as a conversation amongst global coaches who thought that it's time and high time climate change becomes part of our coaching conversations. We didn't know how to do it, but it was these conversations that meandered into understanding, are we the only ones thinking about it? Or can we move this globally to find out if other coaches also see the need to address the elephant in the room? 2020 was when this 2019 conversation converted into a 24-hour global conversation that happened from one Zoom room. March was when the first 24-hour conversation happened. And Wuhan was the only place that was afflicted with COVID-19. Our conversation at that point did not talk much about the pandemic. Little did we know that it was just a matter of weeks before the world saw no borders, no boundaries with language or culture, and the pandemic struck us all. This conversation became more relevant than on. In October 2020, when the conversation went 24 hours again, this time everyone spoke the same language. They realized it had to be addressed. And who taught us? Nature, our biggest teacher, who told us, "Step back, children. I have arrived to tell you climate change is a reality." And for all those who poo pooed the whole thing, saying that it is just farce, she told us it is something that we have to address. And that's why the Climate Coaching Alliance, or CCA for short, decided that this 24-hour conversation needed to be global yet local, and for short, Glow Local. And that's what is happening. We're today proudly announcing 100 plus sessions that have been happening parallelly across 6 continents in 7 official languages, which make it such a proud moment for every member of CCA. And to be a member, all it needs is the drive to love climate, to love nature, to feel her presence, to enjoy her, and be a volunteer like all of us here are who are members of CCA. Just pass the word around, bring in the words that everyone needs to hear, and be bold about it. Climate change, a word that today is global, and nobody stops to ask you, what do you mean? Because we all know what it means. And what makes it even more beautiful for me to be sitting here and talking this is the lady who has put this together, Anushly, who left us in one of our conversations in the last climate coaching meet, where she asked if everyone spoke very high on climate change and why it's important. And Anushly asked us a very basic question. Okay, fine. I understand climate change is important. But what if your coachee who's looking up to you is not looking at climate change as a part of his agenda? Are we overstepping our role of coaches? And what if his basic need is just hunger? How do we address climate change? A question that left everyone in that room completely shocked, but then brought us to ground reality that if hunger is the cause that he's fighting for, first satiate that hunger and then move to the next level. And today, when I see her with all of you coaches, going to take us through a conversation that goes beyond hunger into where our hungry mouths and stomachs can be fed nature, it makes complete sense. So, handing it now to the lady who asked that question, Anushly, you can take it from here.
Thank you so much, Rashmi. I don't think there's anybody else who could have narrated this whole introduction and how CCA evolved and how this conversation evolved better than you. And I really, really appreciate for that. And we are really, really grateful to have you today here. So just to start, I would like to start with I actually set an intention for myself. So I like to introduce myself with that intention, because the more and more that I'm sharing with the people outside, I'm also telling to myself that taking ownership of it. So as a professional person, I'm a coach, executive and life coach, most specialized in weaving relationships, teams, and systems. The intention that I set for myself is that uh, my relationship with environment and nature keeps evolving, like how this conversation evolved, and my intention is to serve, be a serving channel, right? To, because I'm like smaller than the nature, so to be a serving channel by nurturing the environment, by being present, like how she brought the presence here, and evoking that collective consciousness, how the CCA is also doing that in different ways, and also with evolving and healing conversations, so that unconditional love and compassion could be brought together and enable the purpose and calling of all human beings. So that is the intention that I'm holding, and I like to pass the baton to Ritu,
Thank you, Anushly. That was a beautiful introduction, and you sure are holding that space beautifully.
Yeah, great. Yes, say some
I,
few words about you, Ritu, now.
I will, Anushly. So, the intention that I'm holding at this moment is to continue holding space for myself for as long as, I find answers to my questions. So, yes, and my questions are getting clearer and clearer. It appears that I've found my tribe with Climate Coaching Alliance, and I feel that I've come home. So, with all of you here today, and with the bigger family that I'm a part of today, um, I found my voice, to be honest, because there was so much that I wanted to say, but I never said. And excuse me for that. So my younger daughter has inspired me recently. She says, "Mom, you should have an opinion. You have so much of clarity of thought, but despite doing what you do, you're a soft skill trainer, you're a coach. But when it comes to voicing your opinion, you are someone who takes a back seat." So she said that it's very important to have an opinion and to raise your voice at the right place for a right reason. And I'm glad that that is happening with the confluence of everything happening in my life at this point of time. I've embarked on the journey of being a coach officially, although I've been doing resilience coaching in my fraternity for years altogether, helping women overcome their challenges, and also young children, and a lot of people in that fraternity. Families as such also were affected. So I belong to a fraternity which is Indian Army, and it's been a beautiful journey with them. And yes, today I can proudly say that I'm a life coach and a soft skills facilitator and founder of Shakhsiyat Skills for Significance. It's a venture that helps individuals lead from within. It empowers them to have a voice and to go in the right direction and make that positive impact in the lives of others. So that's a little bit about me. And may I request Joy to introduce herself now.
Thank you, Ritu. I mean, so from that warm introduction from Rashmi and to that connection from Anushli and you, Ritu, that your story about how you should voice out and connect to the nature. It's actually all these are calling to me that because I spent 13 years in the sustainability industry, that in the front line to design a green building and green city. So I was an engineer pushing, actually we were the front line help, like so-called the warrior actually in our professional industry to try to make the change. But I realized something. We are building cities aiming to change millions of people at one time. We are actually driving the sustainability agenda and trying to bring the awareness and change to everyone live in the place that we design. But one of the biggest issue we actually ignored is how people are giving the feedback and connects to the environment and the city we built for them. So that's what brought me a very deep feeling of what else can I do from a technical perspective, but more to a connector. So we used to be a designer and we wanted to be a communicator, but more importantly, I wanted to be is a connector. And there is a beyond the words and beyond the technical things we are bringing forward, but that's a lot of things are less clear from the words, but more from the heart, that the energy flows around the environment that connects all of us together. So that brought me into this thinking of going to the coaching industry, where is the closest one to really connect the hearts together. So that's the reason we brought in this joy of sustainability, that I'm start to explore that how can I use the professional technical knowledge connect with the coaching skills that's able to open up more hearts one by one. So this is my dream, and this is what I'm here. Like CCA is the perfect platform, actually connects both of my dream together. So I was even tearing like in the last 24 hours to see so many like-minded people were there and so much of encouragement. So this is definitely we're going to continue, and that's the journey that I wanted always. And then, yeah, so I think we will have more time to talk about this. So I think I'm gonna connect this, pass on to Kathrine, because, you know, whatever we're communicating, I was so inspired by the story that we connected offline. So over to you, Kathrine, please.
Hi, thank you, Joy. Welcome, everybody, and good evening. I'm happy to be here. I'm actually a starter in this journey and this platform. Currently, I am a life and executive coach. I am the vice president of the ICF Philippines Charter Chapter and a founding member of the Philippines' first cooperative, Coaches Connect. I'll keep my spiel quite short because we still have quite a length of way to speak to you a little bit more about our journey. And so I'll suffice to say that I started, I believe, like, I think what prompted me to join this group is given the pandemic, you know, we, as you can see, staying home has reduced our carbon footprint and increased our use of renewable energy or renewable resources, which has helped heal the earth. As we notice, I think the climate feels less hot and there's less pollution, and these I just feel the need to continue employing earth saving and healing practices and continue creating conversations that bring about environmental awareness and sustainability. So with that said, I think we could segue into talking a little bit more of the tool that we're going to be utilizing in this conversation, in this session rather, in this workshop, the Niels wheel, and I'll send you back to Rashmi.
Yeah. Thank you so much for introducing about Niels wheel. And why we are bringing Niels wheel here is a question that many people have. It's because that we connected because of Niels. We initially connected because of the Niels wheel. So we want to give that gratitude. So Rashmi is someone who is professionally trained to use this Niels wheel. So I would like to give the floor to her to share how to say a few words about this Niels wheel.
Okay, there is no official training, Anushly. It's just that this wheel is one of those tools that we use in coaching, just like we would use the wheel of life. And when everyone asks the same question, exactly similar question, that do we bring climate change to the client's agenda when it is not on the agenda? Is it going against coaching? And that's when CCA was harboring on the same question when Niels Cotton came forward to give the Niels wheel and said that for CCA members, he'd present this wheel. If they are comfortable using it, they can go ahead. Because this is one wheel, whereas one of the segments of the wheel, environment, is an integral part. And personally, for me, when I was introduced to this, I loved the way it was placed: finance, human, like you can see, environment, legacy, values, calling, meaning, and purpose, whole life fulfillment, enabling greatness in others, and the last segment kept absolutely empty. So each coachee or anyone who goes through the wheel, whatever segment speaks to you, that's how the coaching process begins. And any which way, invariably, what happens is many people start with finance and then move to human, and they say, environment, yeah, okay, I feel for the environment. Yes, there's nothing much I can do alone. It is, yeah, fine. And then they move to legacy. Now, this is what happened. And why I really vouch for the power of this wheel is because what happened in one of my coaching sessions in the initial period of being introduced to the wheel. I was curious to know how this speaks. Because Neil told us one thing when he introduced the wheel, that just introduce the wheel and allow the wheel to do the talking. I wanted to experiment that, like everyone who sees anything new and wants to use the tool. So that's exactly what I did in one of my coaching sessions, where I placed this tool in the space of the wheel of life. And as we were talking, he spoke about how financially he was stable, the coachee. And he said, I don't want anything discussed on the finance part because I'm happy where I am. The human element, yes, as a human being, I'm very conscious of that. Environment, yeah, I love the environment. I know it's important, but tomorrow, if I have to build my house where there is a tree, I'll definitely cut the tree, but I'll plant a sapling in the space of the tree, is how he said. And I said, oh, okay. Then he spoke about legacy and he was about to have a baby. And then the conversation opened. He spoke about legacy. And I said, he started saying what he's dreaming for his baby. And I just asked him one question. I said, but if the environment doesn't exist, what will your baby have? And at that point, he paused. He went back. He thought a little, and there was a very pregnant silence, a silence where there was a lot happening. And I think as coaches, that is one of the most powerful places to be because there's nothing you're doing, and the coachee starts the process. And then he moved back and forth, didn't speak much about environment, but then moved to why values are important, the legacy his father left behind for him. And then came back again to say, yes, I understand environment is important. Then went further in saying, I love enabling greatness in others. And the session was over. The next session, when we met, I asked him, how are you feeling? And in fact, he came with a very different, renewed vigor in this session. He was very different with the way he opened, started speaking. Somewhere, I think that conversation opened him as an individual to feel more vulnerable and authentic about himself. It moved, and I said, okay, human, we discussed the last time. Environment, you said that you wouldn't. And we moved to legacy. So immediately, his reaction was, wait, wait, wait. You didn't ask me what did I think about the environment. So I said, oh, you did think about it? He said, yes, of course. After our conversation, I was very disturbed. And that's when I decided to go to a park for a walk. I went to the park, and there's a small lake with turtles on it. And I just went to look at those turtles. And for some reason, they came up to the surface. And I had these fried gram, the channa that we call in India. He said, I carried that along and threw it to the turtles. They came up, they ate it, and I felt good for some reason. I just sat there doing nothing but watching them. And then on, I realized how important the environment is for us to find ourselves. That calmness was something that I really enjoyed, and I realized I had a role for my child. I had to conserve the environment. And then on started a very beautiful journey. So, for me personally, at that point, I understood what Neil told us when he said, the wheel will do the talking. And this man even went to the extent of completing the entire wheel by saying he spoke on everything. And he said, the last segment for me is I have decided to be an organ donor because organs are what nature has gifted me. And I decided to be an organ donor to leave that back to nature when I'm leaving the earth, which I thought was very powerful. And therefore, this wheel definitely does a lot of work for coaches. So it's one of those spaces where conversations open up and coaches become absolutely vulnerable and authentic. So that's my experience of the wheel. And now I hand it to you, all of you. Anushly, would you
Yeah,
take charge
yeah,
and
yeah.
then take it forward?
Yes,
Thank
of
you
course.
so
Thank you
much.
so much for that story. It was like you were speaking to our hearts, actually, when you were saying that story. I would say that. Uh, so I'm also just relating my story of how it all evolved. Like, so when I was very small, like my relationship with the environment wasn't that deep. But of course, I had this community centered thought of doing something to the community. That service thought was always there. But I wouldn't say that the connection that I hold right now with the environment is something that I was having when I was young. And whenever my mom was promoting, also, I didn't understand that. I didn't have the clarity. But during this COVID time, the shift has been gradually happening, but especially because my son, since he was 2.5 years old, he used to say he can't tolerate, like when we are going to the nursery, if someone spits on the road, he can't tolerate. He's asking, why are they polluting the environment? Don't they know that you need to save? He gets so emotional about it. So whenever I see him, like, I'm in a very difficult situation, because an adult is doing that mistake and he's thinking like, oh, my mama is trying to change me, but there's another guy is doing there on the road, right? So I have been going through this journey for a while, and I think this pandemic has been the right moment to open up my mind completely, where I started my reflection with Earth 30 days reflection. If Earth is talking to me and to the people around, what would it say? In that reflection, there was a lot of things evolved, and I would only say one thing, that the key thing that I would say is that I felt that Earth is not trying to do harm to us. It's just that trying to find its own balance by bringing the COVID virus to the space, because it has lost its balance because of the human behaviors. So like how we just shake it off from our shoulder, dusting it off like our shoulder, Earth is also trying to do that kind of a dance and balance. So in that dance, I think some people we might have to lose some people. Some people might you know be retained, and that is a part of the process as well. So since I'm also coming from a religious background, where we speak about 5 actions that performed by the nature. So one is actually creation. Another one is also demolishing, is also like is one of the action that we speak about in our religion as well. So when I'm connecting in spiritual aspect, all this aspect, and I saw that there's some connectivity there. Then here you go, Sindhu. I got connected with CCA event, which really started me to think about environment. I started, okay, what can I do? Because it was always about what can I do when I got into that conversation last year. And I started having plans, the kids started having following that, and so on. So cut short, the story was that this evolving journey connected me with the Rashmi and some other friends who came as a chapter. So that's how I got introduced to Ritu, Sindhu, and all. So we actually, when we were having this conversation, Rashmi, I'm grateful to Rashmi, she introduced Neil to us, and Neil introduced the Neil's Wheel to us. And because of Neil's Wheel, Sindhu dropped an email to me asking, hey, is there anyone who can try this wheel with me? And we both start coaching each other. In that journey, many things evolved. Okay. One of the things that was so powerful to me is that what I know is not enough. There's so much that I don't know. In fact, recently I read that the space that we live is just 4% of the whole solar system. We're talking about 4%. We are fighting for this 4%, right? So who are we in that 4%? I can't even think about it. So I ended up thinking that, okay, that spirituality, everything evolving, that it brought to me this sense of oneness. We all one, right? So if we are all one, right? If one finger is breaking, means it's going to affect the balance of this finger. All right. So if you start thinking like that, I started seeing a shift happening within me as a coach, as a parent, as a human being, and how I connect with nature. With that, I can have a full whole day to talk about my relationship with nature, but being mindful of the time, I'm passing the baton to the next speaker. I would like to invite Ritu. What is your relationship, Ritu, with the environment? Tell us.
Thank you so much, Anushly, for sharing from all your heart, the space that you are in at this point because of the association with this topic and with this fraternity that we are part of now. So talking about me, I'll start with the Neil's Wheel. So the fact that Neil's Wheel talks about the understanding of what is happening within me that matters to me, and also what is happening outside of me that matters to me. So the sync between these two things in all his segments is how I explored the wheel. And it's really been a lot of shift ever since I started doing that, because in each and every segment, I went deeper to see if I was comfortable, in the space that I was in. And I related that because this Neil's Wheel gave me this opportunity to see it in a larger picture, in a systemic way, stepping back and seeing what I'm doing. So it was an amazing journey, and a lot of blind spots in me I could, on my own discover. Though of course I've had a session like Sindhu and I had a conversation, and she was there to help me explore it on the first day. But my journey is continuing, and I'm still exploring some aspects of it. And I'm trying to understand that in coaching practices, otherwise, the wheel of life that we have, and even otherwise, when we mention the word environment, why is it that people or the individuals or the coaches just think about themselves and their small ecosystem, which is their family? So when you talk to them about the environment, they just, talk about what is facilitating them in terms of what they want to achieve. So they just see if their, family is there to support them, if they have the infrastructure. So they don't go beyond that. Whereas, yes, this has opened so many possibilities for us now to firstly, now that we understand this, and I don't think it'll be very difficult for us to gradually, I wouldn't say nudge, but introduce this and wait for them to respond. And then if they don't, then maybe we could wait for some other conversation to do that. So I don't think any of us are going to stop now. At least I'm not going to stop. So this has been my experience with this, with Neil's Wheel. And my relationship with the environment, it's something which has been very close to my heart ever since I was a child. My parents remember me sitting next to the flowers and not plucking them, so in fact, the first lesson I think they must have given me was that. And ever since then, it's been such a close relationship with the green fingers by the God of grace that I have, that I've never ever spent a single day without a plant in my vicinity. Having said that, the awareness has also been because of my educational background. I've done my master's in geography from Delhi School of Economics. So I have a very sound understanding of how the planet, is, and what is it that the planet needs. So having studied this discipline in depth has helped me. And the journey has been a continuous journey. I love to do pottery. I love gardening. So my association with the soil, the earth, has been very close. And I'm a farmer's daughter. I come from a farmer's family. So this is who I am. Thank you. I would like now to pass the baton to Kathrine.
Okay, thank you, Ritu, for that.
Kathrine, before you start sharing your story, we have a comment from Denira saying that we have more awareness. Coaches are still catching up. Great. Yes, very true. Go ahead,
Okay,
Kathrine.
thank you. Unknowingly, my relationship with the environment began since my childhood years, playing in the parks and gardens and frequenting the beach, enjoying the sun, the sand, the sea, the wind, looking at the endless horizon beyond the sea, witnessing the stunning sunrise and sunset. being in awe of the marine life in scuba diving and the pristine uninhabited little islands. And in particular, relishing clearing my mind or falling asleep to the sound of the waves crashing by the shore. I'm sure we could all agree that there's nothing like listening to the rhythmic sound of the crashing of water onto the sand and the sound of rainfall and moving water or the rustle of the wind and the leaves. I was also encouraged to practice energy conservation growing up, which entailed turning off the lights and the AC when not in use during the times when it's not too hot, using energy saving light bulbs, setting the centralized shower heat water heater only on certain times of the day and evening, that we'd structure bathing around those times. Living abroad also enhanced that awareness. As I walked a lot, I used public transportation, learned to segregate garbage from recyclables, use printed paper, purchase secondhand books, especially for on university, cut junk mail, opt for paperless over credit card statements or bank statements, and the list goes on. Today, I still practice all of that. If I can help it, I would rather walk than use a car or take the stairs over the elevator or escalator. Use cotton swabs with paper sticks, use coconut oil for moisturizing, or using power strips for the different appliances that we have. So there are multiple things we can do. Whether it be keeping our tires properly inflated to improve gas mileage, or keeping the trunk clutter-free to minimize the weight on a vehicle, right? In relation to Neil's wheel, I view the 7 segments holistically. I see the environment as a gift from God, that we've been given a fullness of life and for use of every human person. But as any gift we treasure, it should be used and cared for as something precious. I think we as human beings are all connected, and we have a social and environmental responsibility to care what happens to our fellow mankind and environment, as we constantly will pass on the state of the earth to the following generations. So I see my part as a sense of calling or purpose in life to continue my bit in employing the earth-saving practices I currently do, take strides to learn how I might be a better contributing person to this healing, bring the topic into conversations that provoke thought and encourage others to step into their greatness in a manner that they live more consciously, thinking about how they might want to contribute, especially those with greater financial capacity or celebrity status or popularity. You have a greater bandwidth to promote and invest in renewable energy and sustainable development. So this purpose in application would translate as a journey of a lifetime that hopefully I leave as part of my legacy, however small. So that, to me, in a nutshell, is how it encompasses the whole of the Neil's wheel and the relationship that I have with the environment. So now I'd like to pass you on to Joy.
Thank you, all the ladies. So I will speak from a little bit different dynamic and perspective, because for me, really pushing this climate change and sustainability was part of my job all the time. But in the beginning, like about 15 years ago, when I'm trying to drive this sustainability into our projects, the biggest issue we faced was, how much is it? How much is it going to cost? Do I get a payback? Is that worth it? What I'm getting? So tell me why I'm paying this. So we're getting all these questions like 10 years ago with everything single thing we push. So at the end, people want sustainability or green because they want to gain government incentives. They want to get certain reward, but the way they're doing is all about the greenwashing. But 10 years later now, we can see a huge difference in this particular industry. Luckily, I was patient enough to stay on until now. That didn't really change my job. Yeah, then I realized that the pandemic, although give us a big push, but we realized that people start to realize that's serious. And if we don't really control our climate change, the temperature increase by 2 degrees, and it will not be, it will be irreversible for us to really, to face this, all this pandemic and all this, even the future climate disasters. So with those understanding, especially in Singapore, because we live in a tropical climate, has a very embracing nature environment. We call ourselves as a garden in the city, and a city in the garden. You can't really tell who is dominating, but we realize that the way we really embracing and bring the nature in is really brings all the energy perspective, talk about biophilic design, talk about this sustainability design, that's benefiting to everyone in the environment. So that's why I feel that as a coach who are also specialized in the technical sustainability field, there are a lot for me to do to be able to push this mindset and the proper thinking process into this technical field. So my dream always in the joy of sustainability is to share the knowledge for free, that I'm actually writing articles to share those professional technical parts with everyone, so you can easily pick up and start to be part of this sustainability movement. At the same time, I'm trying to coach more people like architects, designers, decision makers, or even the clients, governments, to be able to understand what are they, what is their relationship with the environment, what will they do for contributing to this. So I thought that from really the nails wheel actually gave me a lot of thinking process, because I realized I started with this mindset of calling and value, and I ended with the whole loop of environment. And then with this blank, empty part, and I see that's all about sustainability and creativity, because how are we going to convey the message? How are we going to really connect every energy into the past that people resonate with? And that's so much of creativity and the sustainability we're driving through. So that's my part of Nails Wheel, and that's my relationship with this. So I'm going to I'm going to hand it back to you, Anushly.
Yes, thank you so much. Something that I like to share from all what we have shared, which this itself an evolving conversation, right? I can see that, I can sense that. And what is that in common from all of us is that the heart and the calling. That's what I observed. So that we bring both of them together, the heart and the calling. And let's not forget the two other wonderful ladies who has been the support system for us, Sindhu and Leah as well. They are not in the part of the speakers today, but they have been the support system for us in this journey. So they also have contributed through their heart and the calling. So thank you so much, team, for bringing that essence of yourself to this platform, to this conversation, to make miracles in the outer world through your coaching conversations. With that, I like to ask, what's mine to do? Who would like to take it up first? This year's theme of CCA is what's mine to do. Who would like to talk about what's mine to do?
Okay, I guess I will start first.
Okay.
Yeah, then we pass on whoever actually has that calling.
Okay.
So to me, joy of sustainability is what me gonna do, because my dream is to be able to coach the key decision makers to adapt to climate change. So me as a role model, every time I go for coaching, I bring my own cup. I will gonna start with something with my own logo. I will start to really demonstrate that how me is part of the climate and how me is part of the environment. That's through all these parts. And then we are able to change more lives and advocating more people to adapt into this movement. Yeah, so this is what my calling is.
Thank you. Thank you.
Lovely.
Who would like to take the baton next?
I'll go ahead, Anushly.
Great.
Right. So what's mine to do? I look forward to continuing, doing the behavioral training for individuals, and doing it in a way that, now I will not hold myself in bringing the holistic growth or the holistic approach to their development. So earlier it was more like, what I was doing was happening within me, and I was not really able to put that across in my trainings because my training sessions were limited to the topics, that I was training in. But now I feel that it can be so easily blend in the earth, the regeneration of earth, and all these topics are interconnected and interrelated to everything that we are going to be doing, whether it's coaching or it's training or any field which is to do with education. So yes, I will not hesitate to bring this in my sessions. And personally, yes, there's a lot that is there for me to do, starting from walking the talk, which again has been always there, but then now I will be also talking the walk. So I'm definitely going to be more vocal about it.
Great.
So that is what I'll do. And I have already stopped coloring my hair. So this is
Lovely.
the
That
recent
says you're already
contribution
walking the
that I
talk, Ritu. You're on the right path.
made.
Great going.
I feel liberated. It's again like holding another space altogether to take this decision. With your parents being around you and telling you no, don't do it yet.
Yeah.
But then they understood when I told them, that I feel more comfortable. This is how I feel more comfortable. So they said, okay, go ahead, do what you like.
Yeah.
So yes, this is a small change, and
Yeah.
besides everything else that goes with our passion that we are here for today.
So, Kathrine, what's mine to do of yours? What's
Mhm.
yours?
I think I need to further learn about what's happening in the environment, develop the skills to bring this topic forward, and finally play a more active role in finding ways to engage and bring about this conversation a little bit more, and be a part of a community action, actually. Perhaps we can influence, bringing our Asia Pod into a more action oriented kind of uh, approach.
Great. Thank you, Kathrine. So, for me, what's mine to do is I think having those, what has evolved to me is that since I was able to touch my soul's, I saw a change in me and I saw a change in the coaching conversation that I am having with my client. Okay. There are conversations where I don't understand why the client is crying, what's happening here. I just completely leave it just for the moment. Okay. So I think what mine to do is with my community heart that I've been carrying from small days. I would love to see how these conversations that I'm going to have is going to help people to heal, uh, and evoke their awareness where they can find their true source to be what they want to be. That's like a real freedom, which I have experienced, and I just want everyone to enjoy that freedom. And that's the space that I'm coming from on what's mine to do. And now I would like to pass the baton to audience. Before that, I would like to share this slide with all of you. If you don't mind, just take a moment to watch this. If you can see this spider web, right? Imagine that you are, if you don't want to imagine yourself uh, if, uh, as a spider, I really understand, even I'm scared of spider. So I want you only to concentrate on the web and imagine yourself sitting in the middle, okay? But you are not sitting as yourself, but you're sitting as environment. Imagine you are the environment. Just take 1 minute. If you want, you can watch this web see the web and imagine and try to understand. Or if you think just closing your eyes and visualizing would help, if you think just scribbling a bit would help, anything, any way that you can choose. But imagine if you are the environment and sitting in the middle, and if you're looking at all the other parts of your life, what emerges within you? Just take a moment, sit with yourself, connect with your heart, and imagine yourself as the environment. And see that this environment is connected to all the parts of your life, because only you know what are those parts, and each and every person will be having different parts in your life. And what is emerging to you? If you think that there's something coming up to you, we would like to hear what is that. Anybody's can feel free to share. But take your own time. Even if you don't have an answer right now, that's okay. But we want to take you through this process of understanding that if I am the environment, how would I see the whole world? How would things be different? How would our lives be different? I'm just feeling it in my heart when I say it itself. How about y'all? Any voices, any comments, any chats, any chat messages, anything is fine. Feel free to share. So I have a message saying we are all connected to source. So we are part of the environment. If we look after our health, we feel good. So the same for environment. We need to look after it. Wonderful. Wonderful, Denira. Great sharing. Anybody else would like to share?
Anushly?
Yes.
Yeah. Hi.
Hi.
Thank you for sharing this. The what's coming from my heart with this image and from the description that you said is we're really all connected with each other, and we can all be that one spider that connects the web together. In my case, coming from a marketing experience of 20 years, the spider web reflects to me as I can help tell the stories. I can help tell the stories, especially for those who are beginners um, at being more aware of the environment. And that is what would be mine to do, coming from the heart.
Thank you so much for that beautiful sharing. And this is the our lady Leah, whom I was talking about. She just thank you for being there and supporting us today for the session and being the voice of this web at this moment, bringing your perspective. We really appreciate. Anybody else? We can see Candice. I can see Michael. I can see Randy, Danira. Danira already shared. Juliana, Cecile. Anybody, feel free to share. What is that emerging to you? You can even share it through the chat. We love to hear what's coming, emerging to you. What's emerging to you? Okay, so maybe that you need more time to reflect on that, which we really understand, because I myself have taken a lot of time to be where I am today. And everyone's journey is different. And we need to respect each other's journey, and we need to understand we are just partnering each other to take each other to our destination in this whole journey, right? So I like to ask, Joy has something to ask from you about what is that one, about something important, like what is that you're gonna something stop or whatever, you know? Yes, Joy. There's one
Yeah.
question that you were having from the as a forward action.
Yeah, this is one of the questions I usually ask my client. And it's also the question, it's a burning question in my own heart as well. So my question to all the audience and also maybe to your friends and your family is, so what is your dream city that will enable you to connect your heart and your soul to the environment that you really appreciate? If anyone has the calling connection, feel free to share.
Yes. It's a very deep question. We understand, and we also understand that we have just only 5 minutes more to reflect on. So we want you to start thinking about it. We would love to leave these questions with you. If there's someone who is coming up with an answer, please feel free to share immediately through the chat so that I will read it out. I have one answer from Michael saying, spider's web is rich metaphor. Thank you. Thank you so much, Michael. I think as a coach, he really resonates with that metaphor that he have brought. Thank you. So uh, anybody else, just start thinking about this question. While you start thinking about this question, maybe you can also make a note of this question. I'll pass it to Ritu. Ritu, what was your question that you were planning to ask from this audience?
Sure. Thank you, Anushly. So yes, I would like to ask you all that just like we like to leave people we meet better than how they were when we met them, how would you like to leave the planet Earth the day you leave it? It's a very deep question, but pardon me for making you think so deeply.
Yeah. So we will also, Ritu will also type the questions in the chat so that you can take some time and reflect. And if someone comes with an answer that within next 5 minutes, please feel free to share. We love to hear that voice from you. And we will also sharing a feedback a link as a forward action. So maybe that you can copy and keep that link with you. And once you come up with your answer, please share it with us through that form that we are going to give you. Because we want to know what are your answers. What is that emerging within you? As coaches, we are very curious about it. So over to you, Kathrine. What is your question to all of them?
This would be a very basic question. I guess just to prompt the audience to just think how their relationship is with the environment in terms of how they're engaging and or contributing to it. Right at this present time, how is your relationship with the environment in terms of engaging and or contributing to it?
Okay.
Anybody that want to engage that question?
Yeah. Anybody feel free to just let that breath out peacefully and ask. Yes. Thank you, Michael, for being with us. We really appreciate it. And we are also grateful to you for joining us today. Yes. So while all of you are reflecting in this about this question, I'm just going to share this link in the chat. And I will tell you what this link is all about after I ask my question from all of you. My question to all of you is also kind of a simple question, but it involves a lot of action towards it. Or I would say not only action. So when you say action, it's doing. So it's not just only doing, it's also being, I would say. My question to you is, how can you make a mindful connection with the environment in each and every moment? In each and every moment. Today morning, we had a speaker who was talking about looking around and seeing those butterflies. And those butterflies are making me happy. Even in that moment, nature is contributing for my happiness. Do I really realize that? That's a question she asked from the audience. How mindful are we about the connection that we are making with the nature? That's my question to you. So how can you make mindful connection with the environment in each and every moment? I'm just posting the question here in the chat. Please feel free to copy paste. And I have also shared the form with you. Okay, why did I share this form with you is that I don't, and we as a team, like, we don't want you to drop this conversation here. If you think that you can find your own answers, we really appreciate and respect that. But by any chance that you think you would like to continue this conversation, we six of us, and there's some more coaches from Asian chapter who are also looking forward to join with us to come together and support you through this journey without just leaving you here with this talk. So this form is does have a question asking, would you like to continue this conversation? So if we hear a yes from you, we will get back to you, and you can either one of us would we are doing this as a give back, something in return to the environment because of the love that we have for the environment. And we are happy to do it with a lot of love and compassion. We are doing that. Same time, you can also connect with our CCA, the global chapter, which Rashmi will be talking about. About so, with that thought, I would like to ask from everyone: can you say that what are you feeling right now in the chat? While you're sharing, what are you feeling right now? Rashmi is going to tell you, wind up this conversation and tell you about CCA Global as well. Thank you so much for joining with us. We are really, really grateful to all of you.
Yeah, beautiful question to ask at this point when everyone's signing off and moving, Anushly. That's true. What is that one takeaway that you have from this session? That'll be amazing for us as feedback as well. And all it takes to become a member with CCA Global, which is completely volunteer driven. There is no payment. All you need to do is resonate with climate change and bringing that as a conversational point. You can visit our website, climatecoachingalliance.org, and click in there. There are other events parallelly happening. It'll also lead you to the event page where you can make sure you can be part of any event that is happening today and enriching yourself and your soul into how you can contribute towards making this planet a much more beautiful space than it is today, and leave it far more beautiful for the next generation that we owe it to. After all, like the native African proverb goes, we haven't borrowed this planet we haven't inherited this planet from our ancestors. We've merely borrowed it from our children. So we owe it to our children to give them a richer planet than we have inherited from our ancestors. So let's take it as a responsibility that we have over our own selves and be a little more mindful on how we are going to make sure that this borrowed item is very securely handed over to the next generation. I think we owe it to our future. It'll be great to stay connected. Kindly join us at any CCA event through the day, and also be grateful if you become members and take the word forward. Thanks a lot. God bless and stay blessed.
Thank you. That's wonderful. Thank you, Rashmi.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Rashmi. Thank you to each one of you.
Yes, amazing ladies. Oh my God. You didn't go for a break, Kathrine. I was expecting
No.
you to.
Well, that's because, it's like my legs are like, is Cecile still there or is she actually logged out?
She's there. She's there.
Before
Are
we
you
go, let's
serious?
take a picture today. Let's take a screenshot
Yeah,
of all of
we can
together.
take her out. Okay.
Is it okay if I remove Cecil?
Please remove.
Oh,
Oh
I'm
my God.
sorry. I'm feeling like I'm not being kind.
No, you're being kind.
Please
Trust me.
smile.
Okay, guys, ready? Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hey, Rashmi, thank you so much for joining us. And Leah, thank you
Thank you.
so much for